Hey healers, it's Sarah, and welcome back to UnQuiet Healing. I had quite the transformative conversation with a friend of mine today, and I couldn't help but think that I needed to share it. So let's talk about it. In the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination, I feel moved to challenge all of us, including myself, on what we choose to engage with. If you hated Charlie Kirk so much, why keep feeding that hate? Why amplify his death online? Because here's the truth. There were people who loved him, people who are grieving. And whether you agreed with his politics or not, he didn't deserve to be shot and killed. A friend of mine, John, said something that really stuck with me. He asked, why is it okay for someone to lose their job for what they say, but not okay for Charlie Kirk to lose his life for what he says? Now, of course, one of those is way more extreme. But his point was about free speech. Free speech is free speech. And this is hard for me to say, but if we really believe in it, we can't just protect it when it's comfortable. But here's where I want to go deeper. Where's the morality? Where's the humanity in celebrating a death? Church and state might be separate, but are human decency and state supposed to be separate too? Because if we lose that, then what's left? And about the employers, look, I get it. You don't want someone publicly celebrating the death of a man. It reflects badly on your company. But here's an idea. What if instead of just firing them, you got creative? What if you gave them a choice? You can quit, I can let you go, or you can take paid leave and complete some turning point courses. And here's the twist. Remove Charlie Kirk from the picture. No face, no voice, no quirks to pick apart. Just the raw material of his work. Then say, engage with this, sit with this, and then decide what you think. Because here's what I believe. A lot of people who are laughing at his death online wouldn't actually risk their paycheck. They'd take the leave, they'd take the education, and maybe, just maybe, some minds would change. Not because they were forced, but because they were confronted with the substance instead of the personality. Now, I also want to say this. We need to give our kids a break. Everyone talks like millennials were the last good generation, and maybe I shouldn't say everyone. It's probably just millennials because I'm a millennial. But, anyways, we millennials say that we were the last good generation. But imagine being born into a world where social media stamped your nervous system from day one. Imagine going through puberty with bullying, not just in the hallway, but multiplied by hundreds online. This is the generation that invited Charlie Kirk to campuses, not because they agreed with everything, but because they were desperate for conversations. They were tired of being told they weren't capable, weren't smart, weren't enough. They wanted to break free from limiting beliefs. And Charlie Kirk gave them a moment to do that. They could show up and say whatever they wanted to say and have a debate and be on camera and be heard and have someone older than them take them seriously and have an educated conversation with them. That's why it spoke to so many people in that age range. And when I reflect on my own reaction this week, I realize I carried this trauma in my body for days without even knowing it. I engaged in hateful comments. I felt this visceral shock and it hit me. This was like walking into your grandmother's funeral and hearing people hiss and boo while you're trying to grieve. Even if your grandma wasn't perfect, even if she was only 50% good, you still deserve the space to mourn. And that's when I realized I needed permission. My friend John, the one I mentioned earlier, he said to me, I'm sure this was traumatic for you. We are not meant to see these things. We are not meant to be, bombarded with all this information at all times at the palm of our hands. I needed that permission, that release, the permission to say, I can stop reacting. Like, I'm upset. I cannot believe what I saw. And then, okay, now I have had this shock, and there's this initial outcry of, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. Like, no one ever saw this coming. And then it turned into these bittersweet tributes and comments, and then it turned into outpouring for his wife and his children, his country, and then bam, in the face, the boos, the hisses, the he deserves it, the I bet his wife's in on it. It just, I already had this trauma in my body from witnessing the horribly graphic assassination of Charlie Kirk. And while that wound was wide open, all this information kept pouring in, and a lot of it was salt on my wound. How can I heal? How can I release the shock and trauma of what I just witnessed in any way in a climate like that? It's like a plant trying to grow, right? Like, if the soil's poison, you're never going to grow. Well, I mean, that's the shift. The shift is that I had permission to process, to grieve, and to say, wait, I was not supposed to see something like that. That was not made for my eyes, my brain, my body, and my soul. Like, I was not meant to witness such a horrible thing and to witness it from so many different angles. And then I opened up my phone, and I haven't even given permission to the millions of pictures and videos that are out there. But here's the thing. I did give it permission. We're stuck on algorithms. What we engage with is what we see. And so I have to look at myself during this time and see that this trauma is not just triggering my horror, my grief, my sorrow, my fear. It's also triggering hate and anger in other people. Either way, we're both going through trauma. We're both in shock, and we both need to process this and heal. And I think in the end of all of it, I mean, I cannot excuse the nasty things that people have said in the wake of his assassination. I can't. It does not align with who I am morally in any way, shape, or form. And I want to make that clear. But I no longer wish to engage with those that do so. You see, that is just going to keep flooding into my feed. And I don't need to respond to everything. Everyone always says, like, actions speak louder than words. But on social media, the words can feel like a slap in the face. So I'm going to choose to kind of turn the other cheek in that I'm not going to accept these things, but I'm not going to continue the fight and engage. Because if what I believe in is really what I believe in, I will walk in it. And that ultimately will change people's minds more than a heated debate with aggressive rhetoric. And that's the shift. I guess this is unquiet healing. This is healing in real time. And I know I'm not the only one who needed permission today. I know I'm not the only one who needed permission to say, we are just not built for this. And it's okay if I'm outraged and I need a minute. And it's okay if I need to grieve. And it's okay if I feel angry and want to react to people. But we have to remember, if we want to change people's minds, then being a dick about it, like I said in a previous episode, it's just not going to do it. And you guys heard my anger in real time in episode 5, the aftermath of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Episode 4 was my initial reaction, just hours after seeing it. Episode 5 was, I believe, the next day. And that's where my anger came in. Well, it's been a week now, and I'm allowed to grow and I'm allowed to evolve. And I hope everyone has that goal. But I can't sit in this anger anymore, and I have to disengage with those that choose to be hateful and nasty. It's hurtful to me. It's like, oh my God, it hurts so bad when I put my hand on the stove. Let me keep doing it in hopes that I will convince the stove to stop burning me. Like, what are we doing here, right? I keep asking that question this week. What are we actually saying? What are we actually doing? Well, Sarah, it's time to reflect. It's time to disengage a little bit, back up. I've been talked about in my episode 3 about my bee stings, dog bites, all the crazy stuff that hits me kind of when you're about to level up. And I am now dealing with quite the health issue. And it's keeping me from this Charlie Kirk memorial rally that I have been planning to go to since before his death. I mean, I had tickets to see his debate this day, this time, at this place. Because of my health right now, I am not able to leave really my bed unless I'm going to the doctors. I can't help but have faith in my creator in this moment. I'm sad I will not be able to go to the memorial rally, CSU, September 18th, 5 p.m. They just moved it to the stadium. I'm not able to go for my safety, for my health reasons. If you are going, if you see something, say something. Everybody stay safe. But I can't help but, see the divine intervention in it. I do have faith. I don't believe in coincidences. There's a reason for everything. And there's a reason why I had this conversation with my friend John today, why I was able to process things in a way I haven't been able to all week. And why I have been able to accept the fact that I cannot go and put my boots on the ground right now. So, in the middle of my healing, in the middle of this trauma, I thought I would just share it with you. And I thought I would just ask that we all just kind of pay attention to our kids. I'm, like I've said before, born in 1986, 38 years old, almost 40. Sun reminds me every day. I'm not as connected to my phone. I mean, I have been because I've been home in bed, but I'm not as connected to my phone as, say, an 18-year-old in college. So imagine what they're engaging in and what's flowing back at them. Ask them how they're doing. I know if me at 38 years old, that's done, 4+ years of EMDR trauma therapy, really hard work. I work really hard at regulating my central nervous system. I reacted and was in survival mode for the last 7 days. So check on those around you. It's a lot. And I encourage everyone to kind of just approach things with a different lens. Engage in comes back to me. What I choose to put out there is leaving imprints on folks. Like, you are planting seeds. Do you think you're sowing good seeds when you're using aggressive rhetoric and language? I mean, I was cursing and yelling in my last episode. Maybe it moved people that agreed with me, but it probably made some people pretty unhappy. So I'm going to sit back in my desk in front of my microphone and share that I'm in a different space. And I hope we can all reflect. People joke with, like, you need to touch grass, like you need to ground yourself. But for real, like, we all need to touch some grass. We need to ground ourselves. Look up at the sky tonight, get some sun on your skin, 15 minutes, interact with the earth, disconnect from your phone for a moment, and let your body process what this last week has brought us. And then step forward after that. Once you feel like you've processed, step forward in a way that you would want leaders to step forward. How do you need someone to speak to you? And what do you want coming back to you in your life? I don't know, something to think about. I just know, again, This is Unquiet Healing. This is Processing Out Loud. And I know I'm not the only one who needed permission today. Let's talk about it. Leave me a comment. You can find me on Facebook at Unquiet Healing. I'm also on YouTube at Unquiet Healing Together. Definitely on Spotify at Unquiet Healing. Send me a comment. Leave me a message. Let me know what you think, or if you felt any of these physical reactions, regardless of what you believe. I just know I'm not the only one. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm sending everybody love. And I guess until next time, let's talk about it. Unquiet Healing is a podcast where I share my personal experiences and opinions. I am not a doctor, therapist, or licensed professional, and nothing you hear on the show should replace medical advice or professional care. If you're struggling with domestic violence, you can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE. If you or someone you love is battling addiction, you can call the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration helpline at 1-800-622-HELP. And if you're experiencing a mental health crisis, please dial 988 in the U.S. to connect with the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. You don't have to go through this alone. Help is available.